I just got a challenge, so I have to get us back on track in timing. So we will run through the presentation. I would like to start with a review on how we did and would like to share, when we met the last time, our ambition level, where we stand in the current performance. Focus on three main areas, I think: growth, quality, profitability. And so how have we done on the external revenue side? I think we increased the external revenue from 6.1 to 6.7 million, which is a CAGR of around 3.3%. Based on Gartner, global ICT growth in the same time period was about 3%. Looking at the peer group in our footprint, I think the growth rate was about 1.8%. So on intelligent networks, currently we started 2009 with 0. We are currently forecasting 121 million, and that's more or less the current existing performance around this one. So we at least have built up the system, and I will share a little bit later how is the way forward there. Then on quality, we reduced the major incidents significantly by 86%. Our 3M currently, from an index perspective, went up to an all-time high now to 78 points, which is definitely in the loyalty segment on the customer side, and it's very clear above the industry benchmark, which is currently at 68 points. So on profitability, when you see the numbers, we have moved from 2.6% to 3.5%. However, we not fully achieved our ambition level there. The clear target was for us to move at least towards peer level, which is currently around 7% in the industry. So at least I would like to comment a little bit what happened and what was the reason for this shortfall on profitability. First of all, 2008 till 2012, we had a TCV of around 13 billion euro in big deals alone. And especially in the first years, our delivery organization was not yet mature enough to deliver in such a short time these amount of deals. So the situation led during the year of 2010 to some quality issues, resulting in 36 major incidents, which we had end of 2010, so in Q4 2010, which is always, let me say, a challenging story in front of the customer. So we immediately took some actions, focused on quality improvement, stabilized the delivery organization, but the impact was it delayed more or less our profitability ambitions, which we had until 2015 or 2012, which we shared with you. So after this stabilization phase, we are now facing a very clear upward trend, and you can see it on the right side of the foils. The point is now we are moving definitely now from the seeding phase on those big deals into the harvesting phase. Alone in the last 12 months, we achieved a 60 million positive swing on profitability, and this trend, like you see it here, will continue in 2013. So based on the quality improvements, and that the good piece of the story, we were awarded additional business in the top 20 account, which more or less contributes more than 150 million add-on revenue in 2012. So what were the programs which we have to set up to address the quality but also the profitability improvements which are necessary to then improve further until 2015? First of all, we set up a multi-year, really multi-layer program in the organization, focusing on quality, utilization of existing infrastructure, which, by the way, also resulted in less CapEx spent in the organization of more than 200 million less CapEx, which we spent it compared to our 2010 figures. We worked on productivity in our workforce organization, and we are running through a very strict cost optimization process. Currently, we raised our offshore quota by 18%. Now the offshore quota in total in the organization is around 40%. And we reduced our external workforce by 64% in the delivery organization. And in Germany, the workforce reduction was 6%, and internationally, around 18%. In terms of cost contingency, the measures which we had taken, I think we are currently at gross savings of about 2 billion since 2010. So how have we done on sales? And that's a picture, a current existing picture out of 2011, so the last 12 months. First of all, we are seeing a slowdown in the moment in 2012 in our industry. Even though we have achieved a CAGR of 3.3% over the last 3 years, 2012, from a pure industry perspective, is under pressure. Coming from 4.5 until 2011, it's now down in our peer group to an average of 0.6%. And if you look at the higher growth rate of our competitors, specifically Atos and Capgemini here, Capgemini, and that's more or less an acquisition play, so it's an inorganic growth which you are seeing here. Capgemini has done an acquisition in Brazil, and Atos has made an acquisition with the SIS business, which is the spin-off of the Siemens IT organization. So compared to the overall competitive situation here, I think we performed quite well in 2011, mainly driven by outperforming our competition in order entry in Asia Pacific, where we grew with 83%, and in the US, where we grew around 75% currently in order entry. However, what we see here in Europe is definitely a lot of pressure based on the financial crisis in countries like France, Italy, and Spain in the moment. So let me come to Telecom IT, which you probably had read already in the documentation, because we made 2011 an analysis around our IT spends inside the Telecom group. And from a group-wide perspective, we are definitely significant above benchmark level in the moment. And the clear picture was here to bring down the IT spend to benchmark level until 2015. We then decided to more or less consolidate all internal activities into one group, which is called Telecom IT. And this group has to ramp down the IT spend, which we have in total, by around 1 billion until 2015, which then will bring the Deutsche Telekom to benchmark level. So it bundles more or less now all the activities, and it's an internal of all the different kind of internal IT departments from GHS, from Deutsche Telekom, and also from the internal T-Systems IT departments. We started beginning of 1st of July in this year. We are currently already on track with very promising savings in 2012, which contributes, on the other hand, on the performance, on the profitability performance of T-Deutschland. We now have 2 business units inside T-Systems with different kind of business models. One is Telecom IT, which is acting and running as pure cost center, so EBIT 0 is the number behind it. And we have then the T-Systems market unit, which we will share from a performance standpoint a little bit later in Klaus Werner presentations, which is acting as a profit center and focusing really on external growth in the marketplace. So what are the big trends in the industry? I think the good message here on the picture is very clearly, I think the market is still growing. I think CAGR is around 4.7% overall, but as you can see, it's already a very mixed picture between the classical ICT business, like outsourcing, and the new scalable kind of services, like cloud services, virtualized IT, and so on. So in the traditional ICT business, in our footprint, you see the 2% growth, which is anticipated currently. However, the environment is on high pressure in terms of profitability. I think if you look currently how can we participate there? Only if we really have a competitive cost structure in place, and the prices in this current traditional segment are more or less determined by the marketplace. So we really have to work on cost structure improvements in this area. On the new business side, what I always call the blue ocean side, I think we see a very strong growth by 18%, but it's more or less a scalable service like cloud, big data, mobility services, and so on. It's still a very small market, but it will definitely develop very rapidly. So to win in this marketplace, I think we really have to focus on some areas. I think it's scalability, it's pay-per-use kind of business models, it's product-related services and bundles which we have to deliver, it's speed, simplicity, and convenience for business customers. You got a flavor yesterday evening around marketplace, the Deutsche Telekom marketplace, so how those kind of services are more or less built up. And it's all about end-to-end solution which has to be delivered in front of the customer, and that all has to be delivered in a very secure environment. So security will become one of the key measures running forward in this blue ocean kind of business. So on a global basis, what's happening there? I think there are 4 major buckets of growth currently in the industry. If you look at those, I think cloud computing, I think we discussed it already yesterday. It's a very, I think upcoming market in the moment. It starts from 1.3 billion and moves very rapidly up to 140 million. It's all about driving down cost for companies and customers. It's increased speed of services. You don't have to invest anymore. I think the real point is 33% growth in this area until 2015. That's currently the expectation in the marketplace. And you saw yesterday evening what we are doing there from a Deutsche Telekom perspective, and I will share a little bit later what we are doing from the T-Systems on the enterprise side. Big data, and to give you a flavor there, 90% of all existing data is currently being produced and stored only in the last 2 years. So that means 1.8 zettabyte. To give you an idea, it's a number with 21 zeros behind it, and it's an equivalent of 200 billion HD videos for 2 hours. So 200 billion HD movies only. So now every traditional enterprise currently all over the world in the moment is starting to collect data and is trying to exploit this data. Why? Because you are getting a lot of customer intimacy, you are getting a lot more transparency around customer needs, customer demand, and it's a clear target currently for companies because you can optimize go-to-market and supply chain in these areas based on this kind of technology. The overall big data technology will help to more or less store and analyze unstructured data, because all this data is unstructured in real time from different kind of sources. Yeah? So if you talk about big data, you conclude more or less social media, public data, videos, pictures, Facebook posts, Twitter tweets, all those kind of things. So the ability in this area to deliver cheap, scalable data storage, automated data collection, and also in combination with intelligent predictive analysis will become one of the decisive competitive factors in the upcoming years. Then on intelligent networks, on intelligent networks, I think we are already on top of this game. Only 3 areas which we are focusing on, those are mainly the drivers for the intelligent network space. Health is currently facing a severe cost pressure, and it's also based on an overaging society driving telemedicine, telemonitoring services up, so really to improve more or less remote patient care. Furthermore, I think the cost pressure in the overall healthcare system will lead to better integration and collaboration with all the different stakeholders like pharmacy, healthcare insurance companies, and doctors. In the energy sector, I think the move to renewable energies is driving the need for smart metering and smart grids. It's now currently all over the place. And the need is more or less to manage different kind of volatile energy or power sources, let me say, in real time. In the automotive space, which we are already addressing, I think we see a very strong trend in in-car communication and in-car real-time services. More or less what I always say is the car is moving into the internet and the internet is moving into the car. So broadband connectivity and online services in the car will become the key differentiator for OEMs, because security, assembly quality, engines and all this kind of stuff is already seen as a commodity from a customer perspective. Then the last element is security, and this aspect is becoming increasingly important in our industry. 80% of the CEOs and CIOs consider currently the amount of damage caused by cyber attacks to rise over the next years. And we experienced, by the way, also inside Deutsche Telekom, the number of attacks are exploding. 3 years ago, we had around 15,000 cyber attacks per month. Currently, we are at 100,000 attacks per day into our systems. So the level of threat is increasing, and in light of bring your own device, the move of business customers into the cloud environment, and the exploding number of mobile devices, security and data protection will become one of the key topics of the future in this totally connected world which is in front of us. So with this, I would then like to focus on what are we doing now from a statistics perspective moving forward. I think 3 major points. First of all, it's compete. Compete is all around Deutsche Telekom and the Telekom IT, bringing down the IT spend for the group. It's about transformation. It's all about, and that's what I already shared, improving our profitability and competitiveness in the marketplace from a TSI market unit perspective, so for the external market. And it's all about innovation, addressing the 4 growth buckets which are in front of us. So now let's go through those points in detail a little bit. Telekom IT. What is it? So it's Telekom IT currently is the IT service provider for the domestic business units of Deutsche Telekom. So it's up and running since 1st of July this year. It's about 8,000 internal employees, which we all have merged together from different sources inside Deutsche Telekom. And it's all about 2,000 external service providers, which we are using to deliver the overall IT services for the group. What we have there is an overall IT budget of 2.7 billion in 2011, which we are now planning to bring down to 2015, down by 1 billion. The unit is serving more or less a full range of services for all the fixed line and mobile customers, so 23 million fixed line customers in Germany, 35 million mobile customers, and it's in parallel also operating the share platforms for the European NatCos. So main goal, as already mentioned, 1 billion savings, which really means bringing down the IT spend to the benchmark level in the industry, and for sure increasing in parallel time to market and quality in the IT operation. So how are we going to do this? It's about demand reduction, so we are driving down demand in the organization. It's about consolidation of infrastructure, which we are using. It's shifting services, which are currently local, into cloud environments. So our internal cloud, it's about process optimization inside the organization, and it's about reduction of the external workforce and also the internal workforce. So we are going for headcount reduction in this area, and we made a very clear plan how we are moving headcounts out of the organization over the next years. So first step this year already, we have achieved a 55% external workforce reduction over the last 6 months. So they are out, and we already see significant cost savings until year-end 2012. So improvement program on quality has been initiated, I think, and we already see the first results. I think we have 10% improvement in mean time between failure on the core systems inside Deutsche Telekom. So quality is going up. From the external side, external market unit, so the T-Systems market unit, I think what are our big 3 steps? One is very clear, we will focus on high margin business. So we are consequently disengaging on the portfolio side non-profitable portfolio elements, which more or less means that we divest in hosting, printing services and all this kind of stuff. And it's really a shift from low into high margin over the next years. The next point is we are reviewing the countries, so the focus is every country which is not profitable we are going to divest. And it's very clear in this current situation where more and more services are provided out of the cloud, and the cloud business is growing very rapidly currently on our customer base. The local presence in countries is not key anymore for developing a marketplace. So we either say we restructure the business for sustainable growth on the long term, or we exit our activities in those countries. Currently, we have 2 countries which are under evaluation and review. UK, we have taken our actions. We have restructured UK already, so UK is already done. So we are not exiting UK, but we have reduced significantly the workforce in the UK. Secondly, I think, and that's the second step, we are going to reduce our production depth. So it's very clear about make or buy decisions. We are not doing anything or everything by ourselves anymore. In every area where we definitely are not able to deliver competitive prices, we are going to use partner models to increase our overall profitability in deals. And this will lead from a cost optimization potential. That's the current analysis for 2013 of up to 133 million only in 2013 with the measures we have taken in this area. Third lever is to increase our move to offshore. I think we are on the way. Currently we are at 40%. We have a very clear target to move up until 2015 to 50% offshore quota. Currently 40% in production. In the system integration area, we are 34%. This will in total lead to about 16% workforce reduction and mean savings of about 140 million until 2015. So we will also improve our production efficiency through standardization and automation, which I think will give us an additional, and in total measures, an additional 900 million gross savings in 2013. So then on the innovation side of the business, what are we doing there? First of all, I think yesterday we already started the discussion on cloud, and René mentioned it yesterday already. We are a pioneer in cloud computing. We started 2005, and we have constantly more or less extended our portfolio. We are the first mover to deliver cloud-based services or business on business applications. And you see here the portfolio. We were the first provider who received this SAP cloud certification. Meanwhile, 80% of all our cloud businesses, of all our SAP businesses are in the cloud, which means 2.3 million users and 127 customers are on the SAP cloud environment, which we are operating with our dynamic services for SAP. And with this, we are now market leader in SAP cloud operation on a global basis. So we went in 2012, beginning of 2012, we started our cloud collaboration platform called Dynamic Services for Collaboration, based on Microsoft Office 365. We now operate the world's largest cloud collaboration platform for enterprises. More than 400,000 users are being operated out of the Munich data center. We migrate more than 1,000 users per day into this cloud environment. And the number is constantly increasing now, and we are ramping it up quarter by quarter in the moment. And customers like Daimler, like BP, Shell, BRT, Georg Fischer are all new wins which have started this year. And the German cloud story is more or less based on the strict data privacy and security rules in Germany. I think that's a real selling argument, even for international customers, to have a German kind of service provider in their critical application and data here in Germany. So it's a real selling argument for us. Then we also will more or less run an infrastructure cloud, which we call DSI, Dynamic Services for Infrastructure, and we are going live by end of the year, which will be part of the BTAG marketplace, which we have seen yesterday evening. And it's more or less a full-blown solution from small and medium enterprise business up to big enterprises. We are meeting with those kind of solutions the price points of Amazon. So there's no differentiator anymore between our solution and Amazon. Shell made an assessment of our DSI cloud against Amazon and decided in favor of us because better scalability, we can move from low up to high performance computing in this cloud environment, and we had a better security concept than Amazon. So overall, I think it's a convincing story, and if you look at the group-wide ambition level in this area, we are very convinced that we can achieve the 1 billion revenue stream by 2015, which would mean a CAGR of about 30% in this area. And even the external analysts like Gartner, Forrester, and Experton have positioned us in the leading quadrant. You see it here on the upper right side, on the fourth quadrant. And the statement from Gartner is very clear. TSI is leading in terms of broad cloud approaches, and we have a good level of industrialization and customer value. Experton is saying TSI cloud is leading in the market of business critical applications. I think that's a good message. What are the key USPs in our areas and the benefits? I think it's engineered in Germany, which is creating trust. And by the way, that's a good argument. It's security. I think it's an end-to-end security design, which includes the network and our network capabilities, firewall, honeypots, intrusion detection, everything out of one hand. Data privacy, already mentioned. I think it's operated out of Germany under German data security laws. It's a proven solution because we have done it already. And the other point is its choice. So we have a broad spectrum now with our portfolio from medium-sized company up to large enterprises. So on the intelligent network side, I think we made considerable progress so far. I think forecast 121 million, already mentioned. So what are the key deals? And I only would like to comment shortly on connected car, on healthcare, and on energy. I think on the connected car side, the good story is, and you learned yesterday a little bit about our M2M story, which we have as a group. Good story is we have already more than 500,000 cars brought into the internet with our M2M, and that's the connectivity piece of the story, into the internet more or less with our M2M solutions. But this year, and we struggled in the beginning in connected car because the OEM always tried to develop their solution by themselves. What happened this year, and that's the breakthrough in this connected car or automotive industry, we just signed last week a deal with Daimler to connect a minimum of 400,000 cars and up to 1 million cars in 2013. And it's not only connectivity, it's a full service for the command online system inside the Daimler cars, from I think, operating the back end for it, including billing, provisioning, and all those kind of things. It's all about the applications which we are going to deliver into the car, and it's the connectivity included. I think it's an amount of about €30 minimum payment per car per year. And the solution will build in from 2014 on into every car. And it will also allow us to charge for additional services in the car in a rev share model together with Daimler. So with this, we are now on a tier 1 level supplier grade inside Daimler, and we have a pre-installment of these services then in every car. And also with the other car manufacturers, at least here in Germany, like BMW and Volkswagen, we are all in final negotiations on broadband connectivity in cars with all the different kind of features and services which will pop up over the next years in this environment. So final negotiations also with the German Automobile Club, which has about 40 million members, where we are installing, let me say, a very innovative kind of solution on how to control more or less the ADAC fleet in this area. So fleet services are also already in the marketplace. We will start services next year like e-logbook, driver self-services, maintenance management for fleets like Europcar 6 and others. And on top, we have a cooperation now in connected car together with Deutsche Bahn, where we have built up a telematics service infrastructure for car sharing. So I think we are very confident now that the, connected car business will lift up over the next quarters. So then on healthcare, healthcare is doing extremely well, and we have built up an impressive footprint in the healthcare industry. And I just talked about the challenges in the healthcare industry, and that's exactly what we are addressing with those kind of solutions. And I only want to mention some of the pieces which we have more or less generated and rolled out over the last year. I think we currently have an exclusive partnership with the German Association of General Practitioners, and we are doing billing and telematic services, and the contract just started Q3 2012. You don't see it so far in the revenue stream, but it will go up dramatically. So we are building a whole, let me say, service suite for doctors in these areas. So the infrastructure tender for the electronic patient record in Germany, so the rollout is by law now given. The insurance industries, healthcare insurance industries have to roll out the electronic patient card. So the tender will come next year, and we will be part of this tender process, and we definitely will win pieces of the infrastructure tender to roll out more or less the whole needed infrastructure for the patient card. The next piece is in terms of medical aid management, and T-Systems is in the meantime market leader in this industry. We have signed several kind of contracts with healthcare insurance companies, and we have doubled it up to 40 contracts now over the last 2 years. Just recently signed a deal with Barmer Healthcare Insurance for about 2 weeks ago, which was a value of 40 million. So in telemedicine, only one key deal, some key deals in Germany, which we have signed. I think we have the first statewide heart monitoring installed in Brandenburg, where we monitor more than 500 patients. We are running, I think next year is the start in January, contract is signed, together with the biggest university hospital in Berlin, the Charité. We will start the biggest clinical study on heart monitoring in Europe with 1,500 patients. And the good piece out of it is every patient contributes 2,600 euro per month. And it's connectivity, it's running the backbone, it's sharing the information, and that's moving up. By the way, it's paid by the healthcare insurers, because I think it's really a benefit to get an overall coverage, and it's reducing their overall cost structure which otherwise would be much more higher. The same happened with the state of Saxony. I think we were down selected to 1. We still wait for the European approval, which should come until end of this year, with an additional several thousand patients then statewide in Saxony. Clinic IT, I think we have more now than 200 clinics under contract, and not only in Germany. We recently won in the US, Presbyterian, as a clinical hospital chain. In New Mexico and Singapore, we are operating the hospital information system for Raffles Medical Center. And other piece is, and that's the benefit, now in collaboration within Deutsche Telekom, we also signed a deal for patient entertainment in hospitals together with Asklepios, where we deliver entertain into the hospital, and it's pay-per-use model in hospital. And the point is, it's a clinical change, Asklepios, with more than 130 hospitals, mainly in the US and here in Germany. So then on energy, and that's probably the most difficult piece currently because we are struggling a little bit in energy based on a delay in the regulation regime here in Germany. Nevertheless, we have won some deals, with RWE, for example, rollout of 15,000 smart meters. That was one piece where we have an overall solution where we install the meters, we read out the meter data, and we are preparing the billing process for RWE, but we are still waiting for the final approval of the data security profile for smart meters in general. So that's a process which already should have been done by the regulator or by the authorities here in Germany. And as soon as this data security profile is defined, then you have really, I think, planning reliability for further investment. So that's what the utility industries are waiting for in the moment. By the way, there is a legal obligation now in Germany in place to install smart meters by every meter point where the consumption is higher than 6,000 kilowatt per hour until 2016. So there's a huge pressure in the marketplace to roll out the meters. The amount of meters above 6,000 kilowatt hours is 6 million meters in Germany. So they have to be rolled out. Every utility we are talking about is currently preparing this rollout. And we are in the middle of the game because we started very early to show that we really have a real competence in this game. So it's not a question for me if this would happen. It definitely will happen. The big question is now, when will the rollout really start in this area? So if you put those three industries together, and if you look at the current performance and the recent signings here out of 2012, I think we are more than convinced that we can meet the 1 billion target, which we have set ourselves until 2015. So then on big data, let me only share a few facts there. I think the amount of data doubles currently each 2 years. I think it's unstructured data. It's difficult to handle unstructured data and to run analytics through it. So most of the companies are currently failing on how to do it in a very, let me say, efficient way. So the currently amount is that, or the assessment is that 85% of the top 500 companies will definitely currently fail to exploit this data. And we decided to enter this marketplace with consulting, with vertical solution. We have built it up in Hadoop cluster together with an American company here in Germany already. It's up and running, and we are collecting a lot of public available data already. And the clear target is then to run a pay-per-use kind of model or an demand-per-use kind of model as a delivery model for the industry. We already have signed now a proof of concept with Daimler. And general idea is, and the pilot will start in the US in 2014 for all the S-Class cars. I think The cars will more or less continuously over the diagnostic interface, so our M2M solution, continuously stream the sensor data out of the car into the system. And the benefit for Daimler is it will enable them to identify in a very early stage field issues, get quicker fixing, optimize their supply chain, and reduce their warranty costs. So, and it's not only with Daimler, I think it's the whole story around big data is all over the place. We are in several kind of discussions with customers to collaborate, to find solutions around this one. And our clear target there is, together with external partners, to create a service around what we call analytics as a service on the long run. So estimated revenue, we are starting from zero in the moment, is in 2015 to at least generate 80 million revenue in this area. Then on security, and that's currently a market which is changing. We are doing currently already 100 million of revenue in security with classical IT security offerings, which is fine, and it's a growing kind of business, but we see an overall trend in the industry which is moving into managed kind of security, where people hand over to an overall security approach, more or less, which is provided by a service provider, because security is becoming very specific company by company, and that's what you, by the way, also see in the current projection. Currently, a lot of investments are done in hardware and software. This will move into service. So the service piece of the security element is very attractive for us. So we decided more or less, based on the trustworthiness of DT inside the security space, to really say we are going to build up a go-to-market story and solutions around it, where we really said we are going for security, managed security, security as a service for enterprises, but also for small and medium enterprises. Here, at least in Germany, in the first run, we had a security conference in September here in Bonn, in this room, where we invited more than 90 CEOs from the DAX, most important DAX companies. The resonance was extremely good in the media, also the feedback from the customer side. So we are starting to build up our business model around this. We are on the way currently, so we are finalizing it until Q1, so that we then can have a very clear commitment. What is the expected revenue target behind it, which we are expecting until 2015. So it's a little bit too early, but this will be a focus area which we are going to invest in. So with this, I would like to end up my journey and hand over to Klaus to give you some input into the financials.
Yeah, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. In the financial outlook, I will start with the effects out of the Telecom IT on the T-Systems financials. On the left, you see the so-called T-Systems market unit, where our aim is to increase the external revenue as well as profitability and absolute EBIT. We're talking about a volume of 7.8 billion here. It is a classical profit center, and we continue to work on the specific topics here. The Telecom IT, it's the other way around. The starting point was a 3 billion IT spend in Germany after the reduction of the margin. So we are now on a way to work with the EBIT equals 0, so without any profits. In our corporation, we start with this 2.7 Reinhard mentioned. We did the go live at the mid of this year, and it's a focus on Germany. And what is very important, when you evaluate the numbers of the systems, we do not make any profit out of this business. The profit is shown in the Deutsche Telekom group, and also the reduction in the IT spend will be directly shown in the group of Deutsche Telekom. What does this mean in figures? You see on the left the systems total numbers in the gray bar before we did the restatement. What is now going to happen? We took over people, we took over assets and contracts from our sister companies, and so the volume we handle into systems is a bigger one. The contrary effect is we're taking out the margin, but overall the systems revenue is a higher number. On EBIT and EBITDA, it's a lower number due to the fact that we took out the margin out of the old Deutsche Telekom account we made. And the CapEx is a higher number because the telecom IT segment has the aim to invest into the IT services for the whole group, and therefore the CapEx is here on a higher level. On the right, you see the different numbers for market unit and telecom IT. I will switch now to the EBIT profile. You see on the left that we did in the last year progress on our margin. So coming from a loss in the year 2007, we were able to increase it up to the vicinity of 3.7 in the year 2010. Then we had the dip, the seeding phase Reinhard mentioned, and as well the investments in the quality in the year 2011. And for this year, we expected, before we did the restatement, the 3.5 in the margin. Due to the restatement and the profit equals zero mechanism, we are now on a lower level, and we have now to start from this lower level again into the future. How we will do this, I will show you now in the way forward. The way forward for the systems total, coming from the 10 billion revenues in the market unit, we want to grow our revenue of at least a CAGR of 2%. This is in the relevant footprint where we are in and with the relevant services where we are in. This is the expectation of the market, and we want at least grow with the market here. The aim in the telecom IT is clear, to reduce the revenue. In EBIT, it's clear that we want to grow the EBIT numbers in absolute, but also in relative terms, and I show how it will work. I now start with the telecom IT, starting with the 2.7 billion, the restated number 2011. The aim is to reduce this cost to the benchmark level, we know, of 1.8. How will we do this? We will do it via demand reduction, as well as a reduction of external but also internal workforces, synergies out of process efficiencies, but as well about infrastructure consolidation and application retirement. There's a clear plan behind how we want to reduce these savings. And again, you do not see the profit due to the EBIT equals zero. In the T-Systems P&L, you see the effects out of this value generation in the group of Deutsche Telekom. In the market units, we want to grow at least 2%, so starting point is a 7.8 for this year. How will we do this growth? Reinhard mentioned some of these growth initiatives, like cloud, big data, network security, but as well we are focusing on systems integration and computing services, and as well, you know, we are in some markets where actually the growth is much, much higher than 2%, for example, in Brazil, in China, and so on. So we want also to participate out of the market growth in these areas. In efficiency, it is clear we want to increase the profitability again. I will share this with you on the next slide, but before I do so, the EBIT margin ambition for the market unit is a 4%. You may remember the old one of 6.5. If you take into consideration that we have lost 2.5 percentage points out of the telecom IT restatement, if you would add it to the 4%, then we are exactly at the same ambition level we have outlined also in the past. So we are still at the same aggressive ambition level on the profitability at the systems overall. We will work further on asset utilization. We have reduced the CapEx in the last years from an annual perspective of 200 million and have also improved our cash profile, and we will work on this also in the next years. Coming to the efficiency piece, Reinhard mentioned the poor nearshore-offshore ratio. This brings us 140 million savings in the year 2015. We work as well on our portfolio. We have done the restructuring in the Nordics, in Argentina, but as well in the UK. And we have also sold some of our portfolio elements where we are not happy with the profitability. And we will continue to do so. You see it in the middle also in the future. Our overall efficiency program is engaged in strategic initiatives, in lighthouse projects and detailed measures. We talk about the reduction of the vertical integration. Last year, for example, we sold the storage piece to AHDS. So we did an outsourcing on the storage piece to one of our suppliers. He now takes the investment. He now takes the risk of unutilization. So we talk about the reduction of vertical integration. As well, we will continue with the consolidation of the data centers, clear. And the cloud piece, there we have the chance to work with zero touch. So the customer self-service reduces costs in our organization because we do not have to handle these processes. There is a new procurement approach in Deutsche Telekom in place. We will follow on this, and as well, we talk about lean and agile company also for sales and G&A. We will optimize here further. Overall, we did in the efficiency program for the year 2013 a gross measurement pool of roughly 0.9 billion. With this, we tackle price reduction and some cost increases, for example, for labor costs in Germany. But overall, with these gross measures of 0.9, we are able to deliver the profit increase which we have shown. But this is not the only one. When we look at the ROCE of the systems, we are actually burdened due to the fact that we have higher structuring costs, bringing the offshore ratio up and running. And what will we do in the future is, starting from the top at the left, with the revenue growth, this is the foundation and the basis for our business, so at least a CAGR of 2%. With the improving margin on the right, we will have also an absolute EBIT number in a higher vicinity. And in CapEx to sales, we did the reduction in the last years. We need also some CapEx to feed the revenue growth as well to develop our portfolio further. But we will be very disciplined on CapEx to sales ratio. And restructuring, we think that we are able to decrease this number in the next years because the big portion of doing offshore we are actually doing in this year and next year, and we are able to do it with a lower number in the year 2015. This altogether will lead, and these four levers will altogether lead to an operating ROCE in the year 2015 in the vicinity of 5%. With this, I now want to hand over to Reinhard again.
So then, in summary, what's now our ambition level? On the revenue side, grow above market growth. I think currently expected 2%. It's a very clear target. We can do better than the marketplace. That's what we have shown so far. On quality, stay in the loyalty segment with our customers and definitely stay above peer average, which we are doing also in the moment. And then on the margin side, get the margin improvement up to 4%. And Telecom IT, I think run the 1 billion IT spend reduction down to benchmark level for Deutsche Telekom. That's the ambition level until 2015. Thank you.